couldn't find pass rushers. Like, he couldn't find a market. Reddick is a one-year wonder so far. And that's granted he's only played one full season at outside backer. He had the 12.5 sacks, the 5-in-1 game. He's undersized. He's undersized for the position. So he's probably not going to find a home that's a fit with a 4-3 defense, because even as a 3-4 edge guy, he's 6'2", 235. That's small for an outside linebacker, even in a 3-4 scheme. In a 4-3 scheme, he's even leaner and not long enough for that position. So his market's going to be limited to 3-4 defenses or teams that could use this as a specialty guy. And at that, are they going to want to pay him top pass rush money? Now, granted, he is super athletic. He's 26 years old. Marcus Golden now is 30, or going to be 30 this year. And so he's on the back end of his career. I think Golden could return, and he loves it here in Arizona, by the way. He was thrilled to come back. So, long story short, one of those two, I think, comes back, and my guess is, if I had to guess, it would be Golden over Reddick. Although I do see Reddick's market not being as what he wanted, and might return on a one-year deal in a scenario like Golden had for the Giants. I don't see Devondre Campbell coming back. I believe the Cardinals are all in on Isaiah Simmons, and so they've got Jordan Hicks and Isaiah Simmons manning those inside backer positions. They are going to need another back. So if they use Isaiah Simmons like they did at the end of last year, where he's playing multiple positions, they're going to need somebody who is a capable linebacker who can play. I don't think Campbell's going to come back. He had a good enough season, 99 tackles. He started every game that he played. I think he's going to find a market somewhere where he can get starter money, and he should at this point in his career. He should try and get at least one more payday. So he doesn't need backup money, and so they will need someone who's capable to be able to play Simmons' position when he's doing other things like playing deep safety, when he's lining up in the slot. That might be Tanner Vallejo, who has actually carved out a nice little niche for me. He played really well in special teams, tied for the team lead in special teams tackles with 15. And anytime he's had the opportunity to play on defense, he's been productive. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy in extended stints. You go to the secondary, you've got all the cornerbacks. I think Patrick Peterson could return, but I think he's going to test the market first. I don't think Drake Kirkpatrick's coming back. He's going to look for more than the minimum he got last year. Jonathan Joseph, maybe. But I see them, if they bring back Pat, I think they're going to try and make a little splash. I don't think a massive splash, but I think they're going to try and upgrade there at cornerback and see what happens there. So of the guys who are free agents, Reddick or Golden, I don't think Campbell comes back. I think Pat it's 50-50 on Pat, I think. And then the other cornerbacks, I think they'll fill those needs in other directions. Dennis Gardeck's an interesting one. He's going to be a restricted free agent. Had that really kind of fun season, 93 defensive snaps and had 7 sacks, playing defense for the first time in his NFL career, first defensive snaps, and he was impactful. But he's coming off the ACL. He's a restricted free agent. My guess is he will be back. Zeke Turner, also restricted free agent. I don't think they'll tag him. I don't think they'll use a tender on him, but I think he will be back as well. And you got guys like Kevin Peterson, do minimal things on defense. So it'll mostly be the same, but going and getting Watt was big. They do need Corey Peters is another one. I think Corey Peters might be a guy who will be a late addition. Obviously, he had the major knee surgery. I believe the same injury that if people remember years ago, running back Ryan Williams, drafted in the second round years ago, he had the torn patellar tendon. That's what Peters suffered, but he's not a running back. But he is in his 30s, and I don't know if he's going to hit the first wave. So he might resign, but it might be late, kind of like what Kelvin Beachum did last off season. But he could be back. They will need a veteran nose tackle. Peters might be that guy. Domatapeco, but probably won't sign till late season like he did the last 2 years to try and get on a playoff team. But other than that, I mean, that defense is going to be looking like It will look different on the pass rush. You will get Isaiah Simmons full-time next year. At safety, well, hopefully you got Jalen Thompson, JT coming back. He will be back. Hopefully he'll be healthy this year. Deontay Thompson will be back, but they will need some special teams help. Chris Banjo, Charles Washington, they could be back. I just don't think it depends on what market is out there, because I don't think the Cardinals are going to try and pay them more than the vet minimum like they did last year.
And where do we see the Cardinals ranking this coming season? Of course, there's still free agency and some moves that will still happen, but with the addition of J.J. Watt to the team, that's significant. And, how close they were to the playoffs and in that contention. So where do we see them ranking and in the playoffs contention, and how far they can go in 2021? There seems like they're a stronger team all around.
They should be a better team. Are they going to be better at the NFC? That's really tough because of the division they play in, because the Rams, they look better. They look like the favorite. I mean, Jared Goff, they were doing well with Jared Goff, and now they add Matthew Stafford. And I'll say, I believe that's an upgrade. And I think Matthew Stafford, had he gone to a team that wasn't already good like the Rams, I think he could have had a Carson Palmer-like impact on his team. But the Rams are already talented, so you're getting a little bit of an upgrade. He's done it for longer. He's got more veteran savvy. He's still got incredible arm talent. The Rams are still a favorite. The Seahawks, you don't know what to think, especially with the turmoil they're having with Russell Wilson. The 49ers were in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They still have a very talented defense. They've got some changes. But so I don't know that the Cardinals are going to be better than third place in the division. They have the potential. They could also, depending on what happens with the 49ers and the Seahawks, they could be a last place team too, but not be bad. That's the part that's interesting, is that's a team that they're kind of jumping all in because they've got 2 more years on the Kyler Murray rookie deal. And Steve Keim knows that. And so that's where he's going. And he's making that splash with the J.J. Watt to pair him with Chandler Jones and to really try to get into the playoffs. Now, I don't think that they're a lock for the playoffs, but I think they are talented enough that they should make the playoffs. And after the experience last year, they were ahead of expectations. Last year, they achieved, by the end of the year, finishing 8-8, they basically met expectations that people had at the beginning of the year, that they would be at best a team that could make the playoffs but might fall short. I had them at 9-7 and missing the playoffs. They finished 8-8, were a game off of the playoffs, and so really they were on schedule, and so they have to take the next step. They should be a 10-11 win team, but there's no guarantees with the division they're playing in. I want to see what happens, and I think that they're on the right track because they did have that success last year. Kyler Murray did do well, and he's going to improve again. If Kyler Murray is who everyone thinks that he's going to be, he's going to be a star. And so this is a team, the Cardinals, I think, honestly, could be anywhere from first to last place in the NFC West. But I'm going to say right now, they're going to be battling with the Seahawks. It's going to be a battle for second, third, and fourth, and they're going to be in that mix. So they might finish second, they might finish fourth. They have the ability to take the division. I still think that the Rams are the favorites, and after that, it's going to be a dogfight in the division.
Jess, oh my gosh. So Jess, everything goes the quarterback route in the NFL. Of course, all three of us know that. And the NFC West, it's so topsy-turvy with the situation with Russell Wilson and the Seahawks. We don't know if Jimmy G's actually going to come back with the 49ers, Matthew Stafford's in LA with the Los Angeles Rams. How do you see this division shaking out quarterback wise? We talked about Kyler Murray. He's got to take that next step in year 3, but there's top to bottom. This division is very interesting when it comes to the quarterback position. Right.
The 49ers, it's funny because it feels like they want to move on from Jimmy G, but they're comfortable enough with him. It's like he's good enough, but it's almost like a few years ago with Alex Smith, when they finally pulled the plug on Alex Smith and plugged in Colin Kaepernick. Now I've kind of compared the two like this, but they're completely different quarterback talents. Garoppolo, they know they can win with him, they know that he can not lose for them. And I think he's going to be ultimately he's going to be the guy that's going to be the starter, just because they haven't been able to find any like legitimate upgrades. If things don't go well, and if the things with Russell Wilson, that franchise falls apart if he gets traded, because I don't see any scenario unless somehow they pull off a deal for Deshaun Watson. If Russell Wilson leaves that franchise, they will be a bad team. They will be a bad team, and they will not recover for years unless they get Deshaun Watson, in which case the NFC West gets even crazier.
A little scary there.
Go ahead, Joe.
Oh, no, I said that there was a little scary there with Deshaun Watson if he does end up to Seattle. Still don't know what's going to happen there.
And Jess, I'm sure you saw this article from John McClain, longtime Houston Chronicle writer, covered the Oilers, covered the Houston Texans. He proposed a swap. Deshaun Watson comes to Arizona. Kyler Murray goes to Houston. What do you think about that? Do you think that's a deal that would go? Would you pull that move?
I see where I can see why you would do it, because Watson already is what you think Kyler Murray can be. But there are a lot of you trade the assets that it would require, because it wouldn't be a straight up Kyler for Deshaun trade. That it wouldn't work, because Houston would want more. And so you put yourself, so the Cardinals are working with a window where they know they have a low quarterback contract, and they are using their assets to build around Kyler for this next couple of years to try and get him in year 3 or year 4 potentially to the Super Bowl. You bring Watson, you then blow up that cap scenario because he's expensive already. He's already on his big contract. And then to do that, you're going to have to give up assets, which means you won't have the assets to add talent. So while Watson might be a little bit of an upgrade right now, you've also limited the talents around him, and you've limited yourself financially to where Watson, while the Cardinals are in a better organization than Houston, I don't think it puts them in any better position to win with Watson than with Murray. Because if Murray does what he's supposed to, they're going to be in that same scenario and on a cheaper contract. Now, Watson is dynamic. He's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league right now. But you put him on this roster, how much better is it? I guess to think, how much better is it? Because now, granted, he's been to the playoffs multiple times, but like last year, the dumpster fire that was Houston, he was so great, and then he wasn't enough to get the Texans to be even a decent team. So as exciting as that would be, I think it would be hard to do it to the locker room and like the things I mentioned before in terms of roster management. It doesn't put them in a better situation, except maybe this year. If this is the one scenario, if you felt that you were right now Deshaun Watson away from a Super Bowl, then yes, you could do that. But I don't think the Cardinals are that close, and they're not that sure. Their roster's better, and I think they have a chance, but it's not like looking at, say, the Bucks, where they added Tom Brady, and that was that. Or if you take another team, I'm trying to think of another team that Miami. Let's take Miami, for example. Super talented all over the place. And really the only thing left separating themselves, because they were a 10-win team last year with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Tua Tagovailoa. If you plugged in Deshaun Watson, that becomes a Super Bowl contender immediately. Do it. And if that's where the Cardinals were, I'd say do it at because you need to start quarterback. But other than that, that's not where the Cardinals are at. And so while I can see the allure